Hi, it's Fraser Malcolm here, head professional at the North Berwick East Links, Glen Golf Club, and I'm just here to do a little beginners series inspired by my Get Into Golf classes that I've been doing recently, just going through all the basics that we did in the sort of 6 sessions that we had. So the first thing that we looked at, and I want to mention, is that if you ever get slightly confused with all the technical stuff that people talk about with golf, it comes back to this if you forget, and that is that it's a natural swinging action that in theory everyone should be able to do. Now if you give a club or a stick or anything to somebody who's never played the game before and you tell them to break this stick at the top, they make a move pretty much like this all the time. That kind of move. Right, varies a bit, but that basically is the move. Now when you look back at that backswing and somebody moves back like that to hit that stick, most of the time they get into this sort of position. Now if you take that sort of position and then tip forward like you have to do for a golf swing, then that resembles a pretty good backswing position. Main thing with a golf swing is that as though somebody has taken the stick and said, don't break it at the top now, I want you to break it down here. So to break it down here, you're not going to go like that because you're going to miss it. So you're going to try and get it from the side. So you're going to have to tip forward and you're going to have to attack it from there and hit it like that. So that's if you ever get confused with all the bits and pieces and you start to think, what was it again we were doing? It's basically a natural swinging action. Now one of the key things to achieve in this position that you don't even realize you're doing is the arm is moving and turning over. Now if you look at that, when I go back here, my watch face is facing you. Now when I turn that back, that watch face is now pointing at the sky. So as it's gone back, it's rolled over. So it started there and it's gradually rolled over. Now that's the same in the backswing. You want that to gradually roll and rotate over. So your first position in the backswing will actually look like that rather than the face looking at the ground. I'll go into that in a minute. The other things that we need to think about when we're starting off are how do we stand to the ball, how do we grip it, aiming, all that stuff. I've done a video on aiming, watch that once you get going. This video is more for people just trying to be able to contact the ball and get it in the air, get a bit of distance, get a bit of confidence, just get the feeling of how to hit a golf shot. Once you can do that very quickly, you need to move on to ensuring that you're aiming properly, because it is one of the main things that causes all the bad swings if you don't aim properly. So, position that we stand in. So when we're doing this and hitting the stick, our shoulders move around our spine really easily because we're straight up and down. So we're built to turn like that. That's not a problem to do that. As soon as you go down into a golf position, it's an unnatural position. Nobody likes walking around like this. So you're in an unnatural position and you're being asked to make an athletic, strong move. It's difficult to do. So what you need to make sure is that you try and replicate how your back is here when you're making this move. Keep it nice and straight as you go down to the ground. So you don't want to fold into yourself because you won't be able to move your shoulders in the same way around your spine if it's all bent. So nice straight back, little bit of knee flex. In terms of how far away to stand from the ball, a little tip is just to set any club in the middle and then rest it against your left thigh. If it hits you sort of 3 or 4 inches above the left thigh, then you're about right. If you're out here and it goes down there and hits you in the knee, you're too far away, and if you're up here, you're too close because it's hitting too near the pocket. So we've got the swing mechanism, we've got how we stand to the ball, how far away we do. We're shoulder width apart with our stance. Don't get too wide and don't get too narrow. Shoulder width. This is for full shots. It changes for shorter shots. Grip pressure. In the video on grip, it'll talk about that as well. But make sure you're really soft with your hands. Ball position for 9 iron or something like that, when you're starting off, a good club is just to use a 9 iron. The ball position should be just right in the middle for that. It starts to move forward as you get longer in the clubs, but if you get it pretty much in the middle, you'll be fine. So I just want to go back to that first position because I think that's really important. So what we're looking at, if you watch what I do here, what we're trying to avoid is the club face, which is looking at that stick and looking at that ball, continuing to look at that and trying to keep it online. I get a lot of people that think, well, if I keep the face looking at the target, surely if I do that, well then I'll have a good swing, it'll come through. But that isn't how you do your natural swinging action. Your natural swinging action, your hands are rolling over themselves a little bit. You're not trying to keep that face looking exactly where it is. It opens a bit, shuts, and then it closes again. And you've got to do that or you won't get a natural swinging action. If I go back and keep the face looking at the ball for too long, so when I get to here the face is looking at the ground instead of being there and looking sideways, if it's looking at the ground, I get stuck. I can't actually go any further back, and I've got two options. I can either lift myself up, which means I'm completely out of position and really difficult to get back to where I started from, or I break this left arm and you get that classic bent left arm position. And a lot of people will shout at beginners saying, your left arm's bending, you know, got to keep that straight. You can't physically do it unless you've rotated that a little bit. It won't happen. If you keep the face looking at the ground at that point there, and the hands underneath and the watch is facing the ground, then your arm will have to bend. You can't physically do anything else. And I just want to show you what happens to the ball. Hopefully we'll be able to see it if you try and hit it with a closed face. So if I keep this face, this is wrong, so I'm going back to here and then I'm going to hit through. Dug the ground, it went low and left, and it wants to do that all the time if I swing normally. So I'll go back here, closed face, wrong, again low and across to the left. Now if that is what it naturally wants to do, then the swing that develops because of that, because it wants to go left and low all the time, is you get this sort of swing. Back here, and somebody tries to hit out to the right, and they finish high and their hands come up, and it just doesn't look like a professional swing. And it's because this is wrong in the backswing. The face is looking at the ground instead of being like that. Now if I try one where we go back to there and then hit through, you can see how much higher and straighter that wanted to go. And it makes a massive difference. So that's one of the key things, keeping that face into that position. After that, it's just a case of turning your shoulders a little bit more and keeping in position. I always think a key move is to keep this knee, this right knee flexed but strong. So it tries to hold everything in position. You don't want to sway across away from the ball. You want to keep that right knee flexed, pointing in the way, and you try and turn against it. You open the face to there, turn the shoulders a little bit more, and then we get onto the downswing. So the main thing in the backswing is that open face and trying to keep your legs reasonably quiet. The downswing is completely different. You're trying to activate your legs in the downswing. So in the downswing, getting up to here in the backswing, very little leg action, just that moving in slightly. You're trying to, one of the best things I can tell people to get the right chain of events is to try and fire this right knee into the left knee. So you get up to the top and kick the right knee into the left knee. And that means that the body starts to move early. It starts to move first. When you look at any of the top swings, they get up to the top, and the first move down is the legs and hips start to drive down slightly forward towards the target, is the feeling. High handicap swings, the reason for this is mainly because they're aiming to the right and they have to pull across themselves. You get up to here and there's no leg action down to the ball, and then this effect because the body doesn't want to turn through. The body doesn't want to get out of the way, and you get all sorts of horrible shots. So when we're in position, we've got this nice tip forward. We're close, we've got the right distance away from the ball, shoulder width apart, ball in the middle. You're trying to get that position. It's on line with your feet. It's not in this way, it's not out that way. It's on line with your feet, and the face is open there. You're turning back, trying to hold your legs steady with that right knee, and then you're kicking through to face the target. You've got to try your best, and it feels counterintuitive a lot of the time, to try and fire your body through because you feel like you're going to miss it. You know, I get a lot of people that start golf and all you'll see is this. And it's just an arm swing. There's no movement. Now, that's fine if golf courses were, if a golf hole was an average of about 50 yards long, you'd be fine, but they're not. They're 300, 400, 500 yards long. So you need to hit it a long way. And to hit something a long way, you need to get your body weight slightly behind so that your body weight can slightly move through, within reason, forward. So you get your body movement and your arm movement. So if you look at, this is me trying to drive my legs through. And I turn and face the target. So you see the hole in my back when I turn through. Now, somebody who doesn't do that, well, you'll get this look. Somebody, quite often, what happens is human beings are not very good at aligning themselves, and you aim miles to the right, and you want to pull it back to the target, and you don't use your legs, so you get this swing. And you pull across it and you don't use your legs. So it's really important to make sure you turn through. One thing I should really mention as well is the importance of maintaining your posture throughout the swing, because that encourages you to strike it well as well. Incidentally, that turning through actually really helps to make good contact, because if you don't move through with your legs, so if you stay still with your legs, what happens is the club comes down to about this point, but because you're not moving through, the arms get forced up in the air really sharply and abruptly, like a plane almost aborting landing. It's coming down and then it's going sharply up, and you end up thinning the ball because of that. So you go up here and thin it along the ground because you've lifted up. Instead of that move where you turn and face the target, you get down into the bottom of the ball. Right, what was I saying? Posture. Yeah, posture. Now, if you look at this, what difference this makes. We talked about tipping forward from top of the hips, a little bit of knee flex. Now, it's important that weight's towards the front of your feet, the balls of your feet. Don't let it sit on the heels. If you sit on the heels, you'll tend to lift up. If you lift up, you'll find it's very, very difficult to hit the ball. So if I start in a perfect position and then completely ruin it by standing up, well, I'll try and hit the ball. I'll actually genuinely won't try and miss it. I'll try and hit the ball by standing up in the backswing. And that's about as good as I can do half the time. Now, if that's me who's been playing a long, long time, not able to make proper contact when I stand up, what hope is somebody who's just started the game going to have if they try that? You have to stay in position, and quite often, to try and sort of prove it, quite often show people you can hit it with your eyes closed if you stay in position. So if you have a look at this, I'll try and do it. It doesn't always work. Knees flexed, I'm over it, and at the last minute I'll just keep my eyes closed, but I'll try and stay in position this time. Sounded a bit heavy. Wouldn't advise hitting it with your eyes closed if I'm being honest, but you can see that it was a better result with my eyes closed than there was when I had my eyes open, but I was lifting up. So you're always trying to maintain that feeling of your weight being forward over it there. But your main things, just to recap, is your posture. You've got to get in a good position, the right distance away, ball in the middle. First position in the backswing, talked about that. And then moving it back just a little bit further to get a bit more swing length. And then it's about firing your legs early. Can't stress that enough, getting the body to turn through, whatever it is, whether it's you thinking, I've got to face the target, I've got to clear my left hip, kick my right knee, anything, you've got to drive your legs forward, or you'll struggle all day long trying to hit a golf shot. Right, I think that has probably covered it. I've probably left something completely critical and crucial out, but I feel like I've been through it. If you've got any questions on anything I've said, just leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you. And if you haven't subscribed, and especially if you're in the Get Into Golf classes, then you have to subscribe, it's compulsory. And then make sure you press the bell thing so you get notifications as well. But that'll do for now, and I'm sure I'll see you again in another video. Thanks.